guys, it's Priscilla from New York. Welcome back to my channel and welcome to another episode of Priscilla's English Lessons. আশা করছি আপনারা সবাই ভালো আছেন. As you guys can see, today we are going to be learning the alphabet. আপনারা maybe wonder করছেন কেন এই লেসনটা আজকে করছি, কেন এটা important. It's only very important because, especially for new English learners, knowing the alphabet and all the sounds of its letters are very, very important. Especially যখন আপনারা grammar books দেখছেন, পড়ছেন বা কোনো essay লিখছেন এবং আপনারা sure না কিভাবে একটা word spell করতে বা read করতে, then knowing the sounds of all the letters of the alphabet will come in handy. যখন after we go through the whole alphabet, আমি কয়েকটি examples দিব যেটা harder words to spell, harder words to pronounce, and আমরা একসাথে এই এক্সাম্পলগুলো go through করব. তো আশা করছি এই ভিডিওটা আপনাদেরকে হেল্প করবে, and without further ado, let's get on with the lesson. So the first letter of the alphabet, as we all know, is A. A. So for each letter, আমি also দুইটি example দিব. These are not the only words that begin with this specific letter, but due to space, আমি শুধু দুইটি example দিব. So there are two examples here. One is apple, A, and ace, A. This is not the only sound that can be made by the A. There's also A, annoy. There's a difference in pronunciation. Now we move on to B, B, bat, B, and big, B. There's not really a difference in pronunciation of the letter B in most words. It's pretty much just the B. Now C is a little bit confusing. In certain cases, it's k, like a K. In other cases, it's a s, like an S. So here we have cat, like a K. And then we have sensor, s, like an S. Now we move on to D. We have doctor, d, and decision, d. Now moving on to E. We have elephant, e, and electronics, E. So when looking at D pronunciation basic difference নাই, similar to B, but যখন E দেখেন, it definitely depends on the word. So এদিকে দুইটা ই আছে in both of these words. This is why আমি purposefully এই words গুলো pick করেছি এই লেসনের জন্য. L-A. So elephant, L-A. You can kind of hear a difference in pronouncing that. And electronics. Depends on how you want to say. Moving on to F. We have future, f, and fan, f. Moving on to G. এটার মধ্যেও একটু small একটু difference আছে. The most obvious pronunciation হচ্ছে j, like giant. Then we have the g, like goal. Moving on to H. We have heel, and hen. The pronunciation of H, basic the difference name, so that's not too hard. Moving on to I. We have igloo, igloo, and ink. So the I and the E sound a little bit similar. Moving on to J. J has a very similar sound to G, but it definitely depends on the spelling. Unlike G, the J has only one basically way to pronounce it and sound. For example, we've got jungle and juice. Juice. Moving on to K. First example the use করেছি because it's basically a silent K, kind of. যখন আপনারা no বলেন, it really sounds like this. It sounds like no, like the two letters, but it's not. To know something means আপনাদের এই knowledgeটা আছে, and when you say no, you're saying no, thank you, I don't want it, whatever the case might be. However, if you look here, kangaroo. So in this first example, it's kind of like a silent K, and in the second example, k. Moving on to L. L, like the J, has a very distinct sound. L. Lion. Live. Now we're going on to M. Muscle. Men. আমি আমার প্রিভিয়াস একটি লাইভ স্ট্রিমে মেনশন করেছিলাম যে এটা হচ্ছে অনেক কমনলি মিসপ্রোনাউন্সড একটি ওয়ার্ড because of the SC. Many নতুন English speakers maybe বলতে পারে muscle or muscle, but it's actually muscle, like what's in our bodies. Moving on to N. We have new, negative. Moving on to O. We have octopus and O, orthodontist. So এটার মধ্যে maybe একটা difference শুনতে পেরেছেন. Octopus, octopus. There's another O right here. O. There's the difference. And ortho. Dentist. Orthodontist. Moving on to P. We have popular. Pen. Not really that big of a difference. We have Q. Clean. Quilt. Quilt hocche similar to a blanket, but not really. It's a little bit lighter and usually has lots of designs on it. Moving on to R. Road. Red. So that is letters A to R. Now I'm gonna move on to the next part of the alphabet and examples for this video. So এখন আমরা যাব from S to Z. So let's start off with S. Sight. Signal. T. Tension. Test. U. Umbrella. Uninvited. Uninvited basically মানে হচ্ছে কেউ আপনাকে ইনভাইট করেনি, সো আপনারা যদি একটি পার্টিতে যান without an invitation, that means আপনারা uninvited ছিলেন. Moving on to V. So moving on to V, we have violin and vinegar. আপনারা maybe recognize করতে পারবেন vinegar as shirka. Now moving on to W, we have obviously water, and winter. Moving on to X. Now X makes up only 0.02% of the English language. So onek beshi words achena with that starts with X. Though I had to do a little bit of research to find it, but we have xylophone. There's xylophone. So the X makes a sound similar to the Z, so xylophone, and xenology. Xenology is basically the study of an extraterrestrial phenomenon, basically aliens and things like that. Jara a field that interested, it is called xenology. There's also an X-ray that you might have to get done at a doctor's office or something like that. Moving on to Y, we have yellow and yes, yellow, yes. There's also yam. Moving on to Z, আমি তিনটা way লিখেছি because sometimes this is the capital Z, this is a lowercase z. Sometimes কেউ এরকম লিখে or like this. Most people এটা use করে when they have to write an equation in math, because when you write a 2 and a z next to it, sometimes আমি mistake to make করি in math. Sometimes you don't know if it's a 2 or a z, so most likely people AZ to use scorbe in math when using variables. For the example, we have zebra and zipper. On simple examples, zebra, z, and zipper, z, like a chain on your sweater or something like that. এখন আমরা কয়েকটি examples দেখব. আমি কয়েকটি words লিখব on this side এবং আমরা একসাথে sound out করব how to say these words. Okay, so now we have a couple of examples. আমি basically আপনারা যদি এই words গুলো জানেন না কিভাবে বলতে or spell করতে, here are a couple of words that new English speakers might pronounce wrong. So we have first sophisticated. Sophisticated. Many people here maybe bolbe sophisticated or sophisticated because sophisticated, but the PH actually makes a sound like an F. So sophisticated. কিন্তু যখন আপনারা স্পেল করতে যান, make sure that আপনারা P and H F দিয়ে replace করেন না। Again, যখন আপনারা sophisticated স্পেল করতে maybe forget করেছেন এবং S এর জন্য বা অন্য কিছুর জন্য লিখতে হবে, then maybe you might write it with an F, but remember that it's a PH. Then we have enthusiastic. মানে আপনারা অনেক বেশি excited and enthusiastic. Enthusiastic. Pretty simple. Enthusiastic. Sophisticated basically মানে হচ্ছে very professional and something around that line. Then we have encourage. Encourage. Again, C has two sounds, K and S. But this isn't encourage, it's encourage. মানে আপনি আরেকজনকে পুশ করছেন ভালো কিছু করতে বা খারাপ কিছু করতে, আশা করছি ভালো কিছু করতে মানুষকে পুশ করবেন। Then we have management. Management. আপনারা যদি অলরেডি এই ওয়ার্ডটা দেখতে পারেন, manage, then you just have to figure out meant together, it's management. যখন আপনারা বড় একটা ওয়ার্ড দেখেন যেটা আপনারা pronounce করতে পারেন না ভালোভাবে, then what you can do is you can break it up into smaller pieces that you know. পরের একটা example এটা show করছি. So then we have weird. Weird. Weird মানে not normal, out of the ordinary. Weird doesn't necessarily mean bad. It can mean good and bad depending on how you say it. So weird. Then we have handkerchief. আমি previously বলেছি যে আপনারা যে ওয়ার্ডটা ভালোভাবে জানেন না, you can break it up into smaller words. So we have hand and chief. And in the middle is the cur. So handkerchief. Together, handkerchief. Handkerchief is basically what usually men carry in their suit pockets or something like that, either to wipe their face throughout the day, in that category. Handkerchief basically হচ্ছে একটি রুমাল. Then we have cemetery. Not cemetery, but cemetery. Cemetery, somewhat like a graveyard where যারা মারা যায় ওরা এই জায়গাতে buried থাকে. বাংলাতে maybe কবর, basically. So then we have conscience. Conscience হচ্ছে আপনাদের inner mind or আপনারা really কি think করছেন. So আপনারা দেখতে পারেন এই ওয়ার্ডের মধ্যে science আছে, but it's not conscience, it's conscience. Here this makes sort of like an SH sound. Moving on with the arrow over here, we have rhythm. Rhythm হচ্ছে beat or how something sounds. Rhythm, not rhythm or item, it's rhythm. Then we have chemistry. CH together makes sort of like a K sound, so we have chemistry. You also have chemical, in other words like that. We have oncology. You can see on here and ology, like biology, psychology, which is right here, etc. So on-ology. In the middle you have oncology. Then we have playwright. Playwright হচ্ছে basically the writing in a play. Maybe আপনার musical theater দেখছেন, which is basically মানুষ একটা script memorize করে এবং একটা stage perform করে, so that is the playwright. অনেক মানুষ এটা wrong spell করে like this, right, like the regular right, but it's actually playwright right there. Then আমি previously বলেছি psychology. You don't necessarily pronounce the P. This is more like a silent P. It's not psychology, it's psychology, which is the study of how people work and their day-to-day actions in their daily life. তো আশা করছি এই ভিডিওটা আপনাদেরকে হেল্প করবে। মেবি ইন দ্য ফিউচার ইফ আপনারা নতুন একটা ওয়ার্ড দেখেন যেটা প্রনাউন্স করতে পারেন না, এখন আপনারা মেবি সাউন্ড আউট করতে পারবেন। You can break it up into comfortable sections and be able to pronounce it. So if you want to learn more and see more of these English lessons, you can check out the Pricila's English Lessons playlist here on my channel, Pricila New York. If you like this video and think it can be helpful, then please make sure to give this video a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel down below, and hit the notification bell as well so you never miss an upload. Thank you guys so much for watching this video, and I will see you guys in my next one. Bye guys!